The moment you ask for respect, you've already admitted you don't have it. In this video, you'll learn how to carry yourself so that others follow your lead without a word. Respect is one of those things that loses its value the moment you start chasing it. The second you ask someone to respect you, you quietly admit that you don't already have it. Think about it. The people you admire the most, the ones whose presence you feel when they walk into a room, do not go around demanding to be respected. They do not raise their voices trying to prove their worth. They do not list out their achievements like a resume on display. They move calmly, and others naturally adjust to them. Respect flows toward them without being requested because they never put themselves in a position of needing it. When you beg for respect, you are confessing to weakness. It is like trying to convince someone that you are strong. True strength never explains itself. It does not need a press release or a long speech. It is seen in the stillness of your reaction, in the way you hold your ground without forcing others to see it. Respect is not about convincing people of your value. It is about showing such certainty in yourself that they recognize it on their own. When you know who you are, when you do not waver under pressure, when you stop chasing approval, others are left with no choice but to respect you. Look at history, at leaders and figures who shaped the way people thought. They did not build their aura by asking to be liked. Many of them were not even liked at all, but they were respected because their actions, their presence, their refusal to bend to the opinions of others made people see them as immovable. Respect is not about being agreeable, it is about being undeniable. You do not gain it by being loud, you gain it by being steady. The trap most people fall into is thinking that respect is something you earn by explaining yourself. They defend their choices. They try to clear up misunderstandings. They go out of their way to be seen as good. But the more you explain, the more you look like you are seeking validation. And validation is the enemy of respect. People do not respect those who beg to be understood. They respect those who are unshaken even when misunderstood. Imagine sitting at a table and someone takes a jab at you, calling you arrogant or cold. The average person will quickly rush to defend themselves. They will say, "No, that is not true. You are misjudging me." But the one who commands respect does not take the bait. He stays silent, maybe smiles, and lets the room decide for itself. In that pause, people are forced to look at the accuser and wonder why they felt the need to throw the insult in the first place. Suddenly, the silence is heavier than any defense could ever be. Respect comes not from proving, but from refusing to be shaken. The secret is simple. Respect that is asked for is weak. Respect that is assumed is powerful. When you stop trying to collect it, you start to project it. And when you project it, others adjust to you without you saying a word. That is how real respect is born. When you chase respect, you hand over your power without even noticing it. The very act of asking someone to respect you is an admission that they get to decide if you are worthy. It places you in the position of a beggar, not a leader. Think about it carefully. If you have to demand it, then you are already confessing that you do not naturally command it. People may nod, they may give you polite words, but deep down, they see the desperation behind the demand, and desperation never inspires respect. It only invites pity or manipulation. The harder you try to convince people to respect you, the more you reveal that their opinion matters more to you than your own. When you seek approval through explanations, clarifications, or long defenses, you are essentially telling the world that their judgment is the one that defines you. This is why chasing respect always backfires. People might hear your words, but what they really register is the tone of neediness beneath them. And neediness is the opposite of strength. Respect comes from authority, from presence, from the quiet certainty that you do not need to convince anyone of your value. Watch how people react in a group when someone defends themselves too hard. At first, everyone listens, but soon their focus shifts. Instead of questioning the original insult or jab, they begin to notice the overreaction. They start to think, maybe there is some truth in the accusation. Otherwise, why would this person be so desperate to prove themselves innocent? The attempt to clean your image makes you look guilty. The effort to prove yourself makes you look weak. It is a trap. And once you step into it, every explanation you give only tightens the chains. This is why those who hold the most respect are often those who never explain themselves. They let the accusations pass. They let misunderstandings breathe. They know that respect does not come from being perfectly understood. It comes from being untouchable. And untouchable people never chase. They never run after validation. They stand still and let others reveal their own insecurity by attacking them. In time, the attackers expose themselves as emotional and unstable, while the silent one grows in stature simply by refusing to engage. Respect cannot be negotiated because negotiation suggests equality. The moment you try to bargain for it, you reduce yourself to the same level as the one questioning you. True respect is taken, never asked for. It is projected through composure, through restraint, through calm confidence in the face of criticism. People respect those who do not move when others try to push them. They respect the ones who stay steady when everyone else is busy explaining. The paradox is this: the less you care about chasing respect, the more it comes to you. The more you ignore the need for approval, the more people begin to give it freely, because they sense that you do not rely on them for validation and that independence makes them see you as stronger. Respect always backfires when you chase it, but it grows naturally when you stop asking for it. The strangest thing about respect is that it always seems to find the people who act like they don't need it. The paradox is clear: the less you care about being approved, the more approval seems to follow you. When people sense that you are not chasing their validation, when they realize their opinion has no power over your sense of self, they assume you already possess something greater. It might be power, it might be clarity, it might be the kind of inner control that is rare to find. Whatever it is, they feel it in your presence and it makes them treat you differently. Think about how people behave around someone who is too eager to please. They may smile, they may nod, they may even offer a little attention, but underneath, they do not truly respect that person. They see the neediness, and it lowers the image in their minds. The desperate desire for approval makes every action look like performance, and performance always feels cheap. Now think about how people act around someone who is calm, composed, and detached from opinion. They lean in, they measure their words, they hesitate before crossing lines. They sense strength not because it is loudly declared, but because it is quietly undeniable. Not caring about approval does not mean being careless. It means you have built such a strong core that outside opinions cannot move you. It means your worth is not up for vote. Most people spend their lives trying to be understood, trying to explain themselves, trying to smooth over every misunderstanding. They believe that if they can just make others see their heart, they will finally be respected. But the truth is the opposite. The more you try to explain, the less convincing you appear. The more you push for clarity, the more people see insecurity. When you stop caring, when you stop chasing, that is when your presence becomes heavy with authority. It is not easy to live this way, because most of us were taught from a young age to seek approval. Teachers, parents, bosses, society, all reinforce the idea that being liked is the path to success. But being liked is fragile. It disappears with the first rumor, the first criticism, the first conflict. Respect built on detachment, however, is solid. It does not crumble because it was never dependent on outside hands. When you show people that their opinions cannot make or break you, they begin to respect you in a deeper way. They realize you are not playing the same game they are. The power of not caring is that it flips the pressure. Suddenly others start worrying about how you see them. They want your approval more than you want theirs. They measure their words. They rethink their actions. They try to stay in your good graces, all while you remain calm and steady. This is how control is built, not by asking for respect, but by acting as if it is already assumed. The less you care, the more they do. And that is the real secret. Silence is one of the strongest signals of power, because it cannot be faked. Anyone can talk, anyone can argue, anyone can try to prove their point with words, but silence requires control. It shows a level of confidence that words cannot reach. When someone attacks you, mocks you, or challenges you, the natural reaction is to respond immediately. Most people rush to defend themselves, to prove their worth, to explain why the other person is wrong. But in that rush, they show weakness because they reveal that the opinion of others has power over them. The man who stays silent communicates something much stronger. He is telling the room without saying a word that he does not need approval, that he is above the noise, that he will not be shaken. Think about the effect silence has in a conversation. When everyone is arguing, the loudest voices are easy to ignore, but the person who holds back captures attention. People lean in, waiting, curious about what will be said, and when nothing comes, the weight of that silence becomes louder than words. It forces others to question themselves. Did they go too far? Did they embarrass themselves? Did they reveal insecurity in front of someone who never flinched? This shift happens not because of what was said, but because of what wasn't. Silence places the burden on the attacker, making them look small while you remain untouchable. In every setting, silence carries weight. In business, when someone questions your ideas, silence makes them fill in the gap with their own uncertainty. In personal relationships, when someone tries to provoke you with emotional words, silence breaks their rhythm and makes them hear themselves echo. In social situations, when someone tries to embarrass you with a jab, silence forces everyone else in the room to focus on the one who spoke, not the one who stayed still. The calm person, who does not rush to react, becomes the one who controls the frame. The mistake most people make is believing that silence is weakness, that if you do not respond, you are admitting guilt or defeat. But the opposite is true. Silence is not the absence of strength, it is proof of it. It takes discipline to resist the urge to explain yourself. It takes composure to stand still while others try to pull you into their emotional storm. That kind of control cannot be ignored. People respect it because they know it is rare. Most people cannot hold silence for long. They crack under the pressure. They speak just to release the tension. The one who can sit in that space, calm and steady, is the one who holds real power. Silence is not passive, it is active. It shifts the spotlight. It makes others carry the weight of their own words. It turns noise into emptiness and accusations into echoes. The strongest proof of confidence is not how loudly you speak, but how calmly you say nothing. And when you master that, respect follows naturally because people fear what they cannot shake. Every attack carries within it an opportunity. Most people do not see it this way because they panic when insulted or accused. Their first instinct is to explain, to prove, to clear their name. But that is exactly how they lose ground. The one who explains accepts the frame of the attacker, and in doing so they admit the accusation has weight. The one who resists that urge, who lets the words hang untouched, creates a different effect. Suddenly, the crowd is no longer focused on the insult itself, but on the person who refused to bend to it. Composure steals the attention, and respect is born in the silence that follows. Think about a room where someone makes a sharp jab at you. It could be about your success, your character, or even your mistakes. If you react quickly, you are now playing their game. You are defending against their frame, and everyone in the room sees you on the back foot. But if you remain calm, if you pause without flinching, you shift the power without moving a muscle. People begin to wonder why you are not bothered, why you are not scrambling to repair your image. In that moment, they stop judging you and start judging the attacker. Was that insult necessary? Was it too emotional? Was it insecurity disguised as humor? You did nothing, yet the frame flipped in your favor. This is why attacks can become proof of authority when handled with restraint. The one who holds composure demonstrates strength that words cannot show. It tells people that your position is so secure that you do not need to fight for it. It tells them that their attempts to rattle you are wasted, and nothing makes people respect you more than realizing you cannot be moved. Attacks are supposed to weaken you, but if you refuse to acknowledge them, they become mirrors that expose the weakness of the attacker. The more you rise in life, the more jabs you will face. People will accuse you, mock you, or try to drag your name down, because that is how they deal with their own insecurity. But instead of seeing this as a threat, see it as validation. No one attacks the powerless. No one wastes energy on the invisible. Attacks are proof that you are visible, that you matter, that you hold a place others cannot ignore. And when you let those attacks pass without defense, you turn them into fuel for your image. You show that you are untouchable, that words slide off you, that you do not live by anyone else's approval. Respect is not born from being free of attacks. It is born from how you handle them. The weak defend themselves and look guilty. The strong remain calm and look elevated. Every accusation becomes a chance to flip the frame. Every insult a chance to demonstrate authority. The real power is not in fighting back, but in showing that you never needed to. That is how attacks become your proof of strength. Respect does not live in long speeches or endless explanations. Respect is felt before it is spoken. You can tell when someone carries it the moment they enter a room. It is in the way they sit without fidgeting, in the way they walk without rushing, in the way they hold your eyes without blinking. People may forget what you say, but they do not forget how you made them feel, and presence always leaves the deepest impression. Presence is the real currency of power because it speaks louder than words ever could. Most people think they can earn respect by proving themselves through arguments, by piling up words and explanations, by making sure everyone understands them. But the harder they try to explain, the less weight they carry. Explanation reveals insecurity. It tells the world that you do not believe your presence alone is enough, that you need extra effort to validate yourself. The truth is the opposite. The ones who are respected most are not the loudest, but the ones who radiate stillness. When others rush to speak, they are the ones who pause. When others fidget under pressure, they remain calm. When others overreact to an insult, they simply look back unshaken. That is presence, and presence demands respect without asking. Think about a leader in a room full of noise. Everyone is debating, arguing, pushing their opinions, but the leader sits back observing, listening, waiting. When they finally speak, even if it is only a few words, the room falls silent. It is not the words themselves that command attention, it is the weight built by their restraint. People listen because they know this person does not speak unless it matters. That weight is earned not by explanation, but by composure. The leader's presence says more than any speech. Presence is not about arrogance or coldness. It is about being so grounded in who you are that you do not need to chase approval. It is about sending a message without saying a word, letting others feel that you are not desperate for recognition because you already hold it within yourself. People respect what they cannot shake, and presence is unshakable. You cannot fake it with loud words or forced confidence. It comes from discipline, from self-control, from the refusal to let outside noise dictate your inner state. Every time you hold yourself with calm certainty, you are training others to respect you. The way you sit without slouching, the way you pause before speaking, the way you keep your voice steady even under pressure, all of these are signals. They tell people you're in control, not just of the situation, but of yourself. And self-control is the highest proof of strength. Respect grows naturally in the shadow of that control. Words may convince for a moment, but presence lingers. People forget arguments, but they remember how still you were, how confident you appeared, how untouchable you seemed. That is why true respect never comes from explanation. It comes from presence, because presence is power that cannot be denied. There is a simple truth about accusations that most people never realize. When someone calls you arrogant or cold or manipulative, it often says more about them than it does about you. The weak rush to defend themselves, and in doing so they make the accusation look valid. The strong flip the frame. They do not deny the label. They turn it inside out and hand it back. Arrogant? Confidence makes people uncomfortable. Manipulative? Only people who can't influence others say that. Fake? People always say that when they stop getting what they want. Every accusation becomes a mirror, not a wound, and suddenly the attacker is the one who looks exposed. The inversion game is not about arguing. It is about refusing to carry the weight of someone else's insecurity. Most people defend themselves because they believe that if they explain enough, others will see the truth. But explanations weaken you because they show you care too much about being understood. The inversion game is different. It takes the attack and reframes it as proof of strength. You are not begging to be seen as innocent. You are showing that the accusation is nothing more than projection. People respect this because it reveals composure. It shows that you are too secure to be rattled. Think about the way an accuser feels when their words fail to land. They expect you to flinch, to argue, to justify yourself. But instead you remain calm and respond with a short line that flips the meaning. Now they are the one left explaining. They scramble, they backtrack, they look defensive. What was supposed to weaken you ends up weakening them, and the crowd notices it. Respect is not given to the one who yells the loudest. It is given to the one who turns attacks into proof of control. This tactic works in every arena. In business, when someone calls you reckless for taking bold risks, you can calmly say bold ideas always scare cautious people. In personal life, when someone says you are too distant, you can respond some people confuse independence with coldness. In social circles, when someone says you act like you know everything, you can respond knowledge makes people uncomfortable when they don't have it. Each response flips the focus. Each one exposes the insecurity behind the jab. The beauty of inversion is that it does not just protect you, it strengthens you. Instead of playing defense, you are playing offense without even raising your voice. You are not explaining, you are redefining. And whoever defines the frame controls the outcome. The one who defends looks small, the one who reframes looks untouchable. This is why the inversion game is so powerful. It teaches people that trying to attack you will only make them look weaker. Over time, they stop throwing jabs because they know every one of them will only come back to reveal their own flaws. That is how you rise without effort, not by avoiding attacks, but by turning everyone into a tool of authority. There is a strange shift that happens when you stop chasing respect. At first, it feels risky because silence and restraint can be misunderstood. You may think people will assume the worst if you do not explain yourself. But over time, the opposite becomes true. The less you fight for respect, the more others begin to fight for you. They step in to defend you. They argue on your behalf. They correct those who try to diminish you. What once looked like risk turns into power, because people are not watching what is said about you, they are watching how you respond. When you stay calm, when you do not flinch, when you let accusations pass without chasing them, you create mystery. And mystery is magnetic. It pulls others into the space you leave open, and in that space they project strength onto you. Think of the times you have witnessed someone being attacked or insulted in a group. If that person argued endlessly to prove themselves, the room grew tired. No one felt the urge to step in because the accused was already doing the work of defending. But when someone stays silent or calmly lets the jab die, the energy shifts. People begin to feel uncomfortable watching one person push while the other remains unbothered. That is when someone speaks up. That is when the crowd starts saying enough. That was uncalled for. Leave him alone. Without asking, you have gained defenders. And their defense is worth more than anything you could have said, because it carries more weight when it comes from others. This is the power of aura. Aura is not what you tell people about yourself. It is what they feel when they watch you. And people respect mystery more than clarity. The unbothered man seems stronger than the one explaining himself because he looks untouchable. He looks like he knows something others do not. He looks too secure to be rattled. And that image compels people to protect it, because deep down, everyone wants to align with strength. Over time, this pattern builds momentum. You develop a reputation for composure. People start saying things like he doesn't let drama touch him, or you can to get under his skin, or he S above that. Those words spread faster than any speech you could give. And when they spread, they create a shield. Now, even when you are not in the room, people will correct others who speak against you, because they have come to associate you with calm authority. They defend you not out of obligation, but out of belief that you deserve it. The mistake most people make is believing they must speak for themselves. They must correct every false word, every unfair jab, every rumor. But this only makes them look weaker, because no one rushes to defend the person who is already shouting their innocence. Respect is not won by chasing, it is won by restraint. The aura you create when you do not react does more than protect you. It recruits others to protect you for you. And that is how you become untouchable without lifting a finger. The highest form of power is not in convincing others to respect you. It is in moving through the world as if their respect changes nothing about who you are. The final level is not needing respect, yet receiving it everywhere you go. It is a quiet paradox. The less you seem to need it, the more freely it comes to you. People sense it without you saying a word. They notice the way you walk into a room without adjusting yourself to be liked, the way you hold your gaze without apology, the way you carry yourself as if nothing can diminish you. That kind of presence makes people pause, and in that pause, respect is born. When someone lives in this state, attacks lose their power. Words bounce off because there is no effort to fight them. Silence becomes heavier than argument, stillness becomes more commanding than noise. The untouchable man does not explain, does not beg, does not perform. He allows others to think what they want, because he knows opinions are fragile, shifting with the wind, and no amount of defense can pin them down. His refusal to play the game makes him stronger than anyone trying to win it. This state cannot be faked with arrogance or forced confidence. Arrogance still depends on others noticing you. Arrogance still seeks reaction. The untouchable state is different. It is built from within, from a deep certainty that no insult, no misunderstanding, no rumor can lower you. People can only lower you if you step down to argue with them, and when you never step down, you remain elevated. That elevation creates an aura that others feel, and it makes them treat you with caution, even with reverence. In every setting, this state shifts the dynamic. In business, you become the one people hesitate to challenge casually because your composure makes their criticism look small. In social groups, you become the one people admire silently because you do not scramble to be liked, yet everyone measures themselves against you. In relationships, you become steady ground because you are not pulled into emotional storms. You are not cold, you are not distant, you are simply unshaken, and that steadiness commands respect without demand. The secret is simple but rare. Respect that is asked for is weak. Respect that is commanded without a word is unbreakable. The untouchable state is not about ignoring the world. It is about knowing who you are so deeply that nothing outside of you can change it. And when people sense that, they treat you as if you are above the petty noise. They defend you before you ever need to speak. They hesitate before testing you. They lower their voices in your presence, not because you ask them to, but because your aura leaves them no choice. This is the end of the path, not to fight for respect, not to beg for it, not to explain for it, but to live in a way where your very existence is the proof. When you no longer need respect, you will find it everywhere you go, because people cannot help but respect what they cannot shake. That is the untouchable state. Maybe this video helped you see yourself or someone you know in a different way. Feel free to let us know via a like or in the comments. And if you want more wisdom and guidance in becoming a better version of yourself, subscribe now. This is the moment to start becoming the person you really want to be.